Hey guys, tonight we're slipping off the clean edges of the modern world and stepping into the damp, noisy, utterly unforgettable world of a medieval tavern. The air is thick with wood smoke, spilled ale, and something vaguely herbal. Your boots squelch through mud as you follow a winding road toward a lopsided timber building with a swinging sign barely clinging to its rusted bracket. Inside, warmth, danger, and enough noise to scare off polite conversation. You're about to enter a world where pigs might wander underfoot, gossip costs less than bread, and, let's be honest, you probably won't survive this without a few fleas and a bruised ego. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is there. Always fun to see who's up late with me. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You trudge along a well-worn path, hemmed in by wild hedges and the distant glow of torchlight. The sun has long since dipped behind the trees, and your breath makes soft puffs in the cool air. Ahead, the low shape of a tavern squats near a bend in the road, half shelter, half social experiment. The door looks like it might fall off its hinges, but hey, that just means you're in the right place. A sleepy mutt lifts its head from the mud beside the stoop and decides you're not worth barking at. Inside, voices rise and fall like waves. Boisterous laughter, muffled shouting, the sharp clink of metal cups. You pause, hand on the door's iron ring, wondering if your nose can survive the next few hours. Then, in you go. The smell hits first. Burnt fat, unwashed bodies, wet wool, and just a hint of moldy straw. But it's warm. That's something. A wide hearth dominates one wall, its flames licking at a blackened cauldron suspended by chains. A few chickens huddle near the warmth, completely unbothered by the surrounding chaos. The floor is packed dirt, scattered with straw to soak up spills, and other, less mentionable things. You step gingerly. The tables are uneven planks nailed together by someone who probably shouldn't have been trusted with nails. People crowd around them. Merchants, farmers, traveling musicians, and at least one guy wearing a helmet indoors for no clear reason. You spot the tavern keeper, a wide-shouldered woman with arms that could carry a keg under each elbow. She grunts at you as you pass, a universal tavern greeting somewhere between welcome and don't start anything. This isn't a place of menus. You get stew. If you ask what kind, they'll stare at you like you just asked how fresh the spoon is. It's stew, it's brown, it's hot, mostly, and it might contain turnip, or pigeon, or yesterday's stew, or all three. You find a bench near the fire, its surface polished smooth by countless cloaked backsides. The man beside you belches in your general direction, then offers you his drink, like a peace offering. You raise the cup to your lips and immediately realize it's not wine. It's something closer to what wine would taste like if someone brewed it in an old boot. Ale, in the medieval sense, was rarely strong. It was the small beer, brewed thick and cloudy, drunk daily by rich and poor alike, because water was, well, suspicious at best. Some versions were seasoned with everything from herbs to wormwood. Tastes like regret, but at least it's safer than the local well. A bard in the corner strums a lute missing 2 strings, warbling a song about a knight who lost both his horse and his trousers in a dice game. Everyone roars at the punchline. You don't get it, but you laugh too. Seems safer that way. A scholarly footnote floats through your mind. Most taverns weren't standalone businesses. They were homes first, with one big room cleared for guests. That hearth fire you're warming your boots beside. It's also where your host bakes bread, dries herbs, and boils questionable laundry. Historians still argue whether medieval taverns were mainly social centers, or more like rest stops with attitude problems. Out the back, you spot a rickety wooden door where the privy supposedly hides. You'll pass, thanks. Rumor has it some places use buckets emptied into the pigsty, and yes, the pigs were absolutely aware of their role in this grim ecosystem. Quirky fact time, in some parts of Europe, taverns used wooden shingles called ale tasters to mark when a fresh brew was ready. These were literally hung outside on a stick, waving gently in the wind like a hoppy flag. No Yelp stars needed, just sniff and sip. Back at your table, someone spills stew on your sleeve and doesn't apologize. It's fine, the sleeve probably needed seasoning. The atmosphere in the room is dense, smoky from the fire but also thick with stories. This is where travelers trade gossip, merchants sniff out deals, and lonely souls try their luck with the serving wench, who's already broken one nose tonight. Above you, beams creak as someone stomps around in the loft, sleeping quarters if you're lucky, flea hotels if you're not, and that warmth you feel in your seat, not all of it is from the fire. Yeah, don't ask. You start to settle in, your ears adjust to the din, your nose dulls to the stink, and your stomach finally stops questioning the stew. It's oddly comforting. There's a strange rhythm to it all, a kind of medieval heartbeat pulsing through spilled ale, crackling wood, and badly sung ballads. One local slams his mug and proclaims he's seen the king's messenger just days ago. Another claims he once danced with a duchess. You're beginning to suspect exaggeration is the house special here. A wiry man with a pack of cards sits near the window, watching everyone without blinking. He hasn't touched his drink. You make a mental note not to sit near him. That's That's not the face of someone who loses bets. Someone sneezes violently. A tankard tips over. A dog howls from under the table. The chaos is weirdly soothing. This isn't your world, but for tonight, you're in it. No phone, no lights, no clean napkins, just flickering torchlight, stale bread, and 1,000 years of hard-earned stains, and you're just getting started. You shift on the bench, the wood groaning under the strain, or maybe that's just your lower back reacting to medieval ergonomics. The room feels warmer now, not because the fire's grown, but because you've grown used to its heat. Or maybe the ale's doing its job. It's the kind of warmth that settles behind your eyes and makes the torchlight blur slightly, like everything's been dipped in amber. Across the tavern, someone bangs a tankard against the wall 3 times, a local signal that means shut up and listen. The noise drops to a murmur as a wiry figure steps onto a low crate. He raises a flute carved from bone. Yes, bone. And no, you don't want to know whose, and starts to play. The melody is haunting and off-key in the most charming way. You can't help but lean forward as the notes trickle out like smoke. Slow, then suddenly fast, then spiraling into something that sounds suspiciously like the medieval version of a drinking anthem. The crowd erupts into claps and stomps, and suddenly you're caught in a rhythm, thumping your mug on the table without even realizing. Music in taverns wasn't just entertainment, it was currency. A good performer could earn a meal, a bed, or on better nights, escape from the authorities. Some were minstrels attached to noble courts, moonlighting for coin and chaos. Others were just wanderers who knew 5 songs and hoped no one asked for a 6th. Next to you, a man with a crooked hat and a crooked smile leans in conspiratorially. He smells like onions and old wool. Ever played bone dice, he asks, producing a pouch that jingles with the promise of either wealth or ruin. You shake your head. His smile widens. Good, he says. It's more fun that way. He clears a patch of table with a practiced sweep, ignoring the resulting splash of someone's dinner. With a flick of his wrist, the dice clatter across the wood, each carved crudely with symbols that might be numbers or might be curses. The game begins with little understanding on your part, which seems to amuse your opponent greatly. Coins, buttons, and the occasional chicken feather change hands with increasing speed. A passing server smacks his hand when he tries to pocket more than he won. You know the rules, she mutters. Keep it clean or lose a finger. You decide not to ask whether she means metaphorically. The tavern is alive in a way few places are. This isn't just a place to drink, it's a pressure valve for a hard, muddy world. People come here to forget, to remember, to whisper, and to shout. That knight over there, his armor's real, but the rank might not be. The woman in the corner, she's been nursing the same mug for an hour and listening more than she speaks. In fact, you start to realize how much listening is happening in this place. News travels by foot, mouth, and rumor, and taverns were the hub of it all, especially before anything resembling a newspaper existed. Want to know what crops failed? Who's been excommunicated? Which baron's cousin was mysteriously found in a moat? Just sit still and keep your ears open. Mainstream historical fact. In England and across Europe, taverns, inns, and alehouses were not only common by the 14th century, they were regulated. A 1375 statute in England limited the number of alehouses per village and required ale tasters to ensure the quality of the brew. Which raises the question, where does one apply for that job? Your eyes scan the beams overhead. They're blackened with centuries of smoke and soot. In one corner, bundles of herbs hang upside down. Lavender, sage, and something you can't identify but suspect is more ceremonial than culinary. Some believe these herbs warded off evil spirits, or at least the smell of the chamber pot. Near the hearth, 2 men are having a heated argument in low Latin. You catch only a few phrases, something about taxes, something about the Pope, and something that sounds suspiciously like your mother was a leper. Historians still argue whether taverns were truly the democratic spaces they appear to be. Some believe they bridged class divides. Others point out that wealthier patrons had private chambers and better wine, while the peasants gnawed on barley crusts and warm beer. Either way, you're sitting in the middle of it now, surrounded by a stew of humanity, everyone elbow deep in ale and assumption. And then, crash. The door flies open with a gust of cold air and at least 3 curses shouted in Old French. A group of travelers stumbles in, cloaks flapping like sails. One of them is covered in mud, another in what you hope is just wine, and the third wears a wooden cross the size of a dinner plate. Pilgrims, probably. They head straight for the bar, muttering in a mix of dialects. One tosses a coin to the tavern keeper who catches it midair without looking up. The ale begins to flow again, and the stories start all over. You get up to stretch your legs and promptly knock over a stool. No one notices, or cares. You move toward a side room, half curtained off with a sagging bit of linen. Inside, the noise dims slightly. A low fire flickers in the corner, and 3 men sit hunched over a table, muttering like conspirators in a bad play. You get up to stretch your legs and promptly knock over a stool. No one notices, or cares. You move toward a side room, half curtained off with a sagging bit of linen. Inside, the noise dims slightly. A low fire flickers in the corner, and 3 men sit hunched over a table, muttering like conspirators in a bad play. As you return to the main room, the tempo has changed again. The bard has passed out. Someone Someone else has taken up a drum, beating it with a shoe. A handful of dancers spin wildly near the hearth, cloaks flaring and mugs flying. You duck to avoid a hurled chicken leg. A merchant has climbed atop a table to recite what he insists is a true tale of dragons and socks. He is roundly booed. The tavern keeper finally intervenes, not with words but with a firm wooden spoon to his shin. He sits back down. You settle once more onto your bench, heart thumping with ale, dice, and half-digested stew. The ceiling feels closer now. The torchlight flickers in strange rhythms. Your mind begins to drift, lulled by the thrum of voices, the hiss of logs, and the odd sensation of history wrapping itself around your shoulders like a very itchy blanket. Tomorrow the road continues, but tonight, you're here. Beneath these beams, beside these strangers, and within this living museum of smoke, song, and stubborn survival. It's sometime past midnight, though there's no clock to tell you, just the slow lean of torch shadows across the wall and the cooling hush that settles over even the loudest rooms when people have drunk their fill and shouted themselves hoarse. The stew pot by the hearth is empty now, hanging low and swaying slightly, like it's drunk too. You're drowsy but still curious, and let's face it, not quite ready to bed down on a straw mat that smells like goat, so you drift again, letting your feet carry you past overturned stools and snoring bodies. At the far side of the tavern, a door hangs ajar, revealing a narrow stairway. It creaks under your weight as you ascend, the smell of smoke giving way to something earthier, old wood, damp wool, and the unmistakable aroma of human existence crammed too tightly together. The upstairs loft is low-beamed and dim, with pallets lining the floor like scattered loaves of bread. A few travelers are already splayed out, boots still on, one of them mumbling something about cheese. You step over a collapsed monk, at least you think he's a monk. He's wearing a robe anyway, and clutching a bottle carved with religious symbols and bite marks. Downstairs, the music has dwindled to a single broken melody played on something that might once have been a harp. It's oddly soothing, like a lullaby for drunks. You rest a hand on one of the beams and feel how smooth it is. Centuries of fingers have gripped this same spot, some climbing to bed, some staggering to vomit, some never coming down again. Back by the hearth, the fire is burned low, embers pulsing like a tired heart. The crowd's thinner now. One woman sings softly in a corner, her voice rich with something older than melody. A dirge maybe, or a lullaby she half remembers from her grandmother. No one talks over her, even the loudest men seem to shrink back into their cups when she sings. You wander toward the back room, drawn by a flicker of lamplight behind a warped wooden partition. The hinges whine as you push through. Inside it's quieter, but not empty. A group of 5 is huddled around a makeshift table, which is really just a door laid flat across 2 barrels. On it lie bones, coins, scraps of parchment, and a game board that looks suspiciously like it was carved into the wood by someone with a spoon and a grudge. One man looks up, sharp eyes, smooth hands, the kind of calm that screams danger. "You play?" he asks, gesturing toward a stool. You don't answer fast enough. A woman across the table slams a die down hard enough to rattle the boards. "Leave 'em be. Fresh meat needs time." You're not sure if she means time to learn or time to lose. Whispers drift through the air, soft, strange. Bits of Latin, bits of curses, something about taxes, or tithes dodged and taxes invented. You catch the name of a nearby lord, then another. Someone pulls out a parchment with a wax seal already broken. You get the sense you're seeing the other side of tavern life now. The side that doesn't make it into cheerful folk songs. The side where bribes are passed in meat pies, and where old debts never really die. Just like that merchant earlier, he's back here now, whispering to a scribe who's copying something onto rough paper with a quill made from a swan's feather. Swans were illegal to hunt, by the way. Royal birds, so you do the math. This is the undercurrent, the murk below the surface ale foam, and it's fascinating. Scholars still debate how criminal medieval taverns actually were. Some argue they were dens of thievery and low politics. Others insist they were simply where common people did what they'd always done: talk, deal, drink, and sleep too little. The truth? Probably both. And you're watching the line blur in real time. Quirky fact, in certain German taverns, an honesty cup was nailed to the wall near the exit. If you drank more than you paid for, you were expected to drop coins in the cup on your way out, or risk being cursed by the tavern keeper's grandmother, who, legend claims, once turned a man's tongue green for lying. A dog pads in through the open door, sniffs at the floor, then settles near your feet. You've somehow been accepted, or at least tolerated. Someone slides you a mug without comment. It's stronger than before, brandy maybe, or just boiled ale left too long in the sun. Either way, it burns a little less than it should. Outside, you hear the first rooster crow. You blink. Is it morning already? Downstairs, people stir. A broom scratches against the floor. Someone starts restacking firewood. The server who threatened finger loss earlier is now sweeping ash with the quiet resignation of someone who has seen too many sunrises in this place. You make make your way outside slowly, blinking into the light. Dawn is soft, filtering through mist and smoke. The tavern, once alive with raucous laughter and half-truths, now looks tired. Its shutters hang askew. A chicken hops down from the window ledge, clucking disapproval. You squint toward the road, muddy, rutted, endless. You'll have to walk. Your boots are heavier now, damp with spilled stew. Maybe a little blood, not yours, hopefully, and the dust of a long night. But somehow, despite the grime and ache and general medievalness of it all, you feel content. The sun edges up, golden and slow. You take one last glance back. The crooked sign creaks in the breeze. A cat watches you from the roof. Someone inside laughs, a low familiar sound, like the tavern itself remembering your name. You survived, and maybe, in some small way, you belong there. Now the story softens. You let the tavern drift behind you, just a silhouette in morning haze. The road unfolds ahead, wide and quiet, waiting for your feet to find its rhythm again. No need to rush. The birds are just starting their morning chatter, and the world still feels wrapped in dream stuff.
The smells linger on you. Smoke, sweat, something vaguely herbal. But now they're part of the memory, like the echo of laughter or the ghost of music still caught behind your ear. That warped bench by the hearth, the glint of dice in firelight, the taste of stew you'd rather not describe. All of it clings gently, like the scratch of woolen sleeves after a long journey. You imagine the tavern settling down again, coals winking out, beds groaning under weary backs, and the tavern keeper finally taking a seat. Maybe she smiles. Maybe she just sighs. It was never a perfect place. Not clean, not kind, not quiet. But it was real, and full, and human. Let that rhythm lull you now. Picture the torchlight fading, the fire low, the bard humming under his breath, even in his sleep. The dog sighing. The world slowing. You're safe here. You're warm. And even if your dreams tonight smell a bit like spilled ale and wet straw, you'll wake knowing you've walked through history, not as a ghost, but as a guest. Rest easy now. Let the dawn come gently.